I will open up to share my screen to just start us off for today. Okay. All right. So thank you to my partner in crime over there with Suzanne, who's helped to put a lot of this material together. Last day we had talked about the role of change champions, and then we also went over the 6 steps of the change management process, along with some homework assigned. So today's work, we're going to dive more deeply into the first 2 steps, and then to proceed our just to remind us about the purpose of each of your role as being really important local agents who can support the change management process for the OASIS implementation. So this means being able to develop and apply the overall change management process with supported by a lot of soft skill development. Then that's our primary focus for each of these 6 steps. So the different tools for facilitating change in the different locations at your workplace will be focused more on how to increase the people skills and the soft skills for success. And so you're the very first group of the cadre of change champions to engage and also support one another. As you learn different things, this is also the same group of how you will be able to exchange experiences and lessons learned. So for our agenda today, we have our check-in, and then Yvette will share some of her thoughts with you, along with Keaton to provide some more of the SAP project overview. Then we'll have a report out on the homework assignment. Hopefully this will be fun for each of you to introduce yourself and your role as change champion. And then we'll dive deeper into identifying the scope with some skills, tools, and then we do have a break between step 1 and step 2 before we dive into introducing the diagnosis and analysis. We're just going to touch on some of those tools because then Fernando will step in next week to also help us dive deeper into some of those tools. We'll have a brief Q&A session to just sort of identify what thoughts you have or comments and any feedback before we go to next steps and checkout. So that's our overall agenda for today. Okay. So in terms of the change in checking in, as we think about the overall change management process, what are your hopes about the change management process as we step into phase 1 and phase 2? So I'm going to escape my screen and just look at each of you for a moment. So if you have hopes and fears about the change management process, we'll do our check-in. Okay, I'm going to go according to my screen, and we'll start with Brenda.
Boy. Gee, thanks. Um,
What comes to the top of your mind? Because the check-in is just very brief. Any hopes or fears about change management?
um, I, I don't think I have any fears.
Okay.
Change, I don't know. I guess I've always been one that I'm an optimistic person, and
Okay.
so the glass is always half full with me. And change to me means continuous improvement, and uh, and I think that there is nothing out there that we can't always improve upon. So I guess my hopes are this will be a positive improvement for the organization.
Thank you, Brenda. It's a great way to start us off positively. I'm going to call on Hector and then Tanya. Okay, Hector?
Well, I don't have any fears because it's adding, just for me, it will be adding more knowledge for
Okay.
me. Will be a new tools in order to apply not only for the SIP process, should be for another issues, another tasks or processes that we have to implement in AGC.
All right. Thank you. Tanya
You're
and
welcome.
then Ryan. Tanya, your check-in. What any hopes and fears?
Fears, I don't have fears, but I can say hopes. It will give us a stronger tools
Mhm.
in the company. I can say
Okay.
that.
All right. Thank you. Ryan?
Hey, good afternoon. For the hope side, obviously, is to create that teamwork environment, right? That's obviously what this change champion is, to make sure everybody's being heard and understood. And um, similar to last week, what we talked about, I mean, it's not really, I guess it's sort of a fear, but it's more of us managing it, is obviously the workload balancing, right? We're seeing that day to day. So we're working with everybody to make sure that, their concerns are heard, and, that team environment stays put.
Okay. Thank you. We'll be talking about listening, so being heard is really important especially even as a leadership skill. Okay, Kenny and then Amalia.
Yeah, just hello everyone. I was not on last week. I was on a furlough week, so it's my first one. So trying to get caught up. So I think a fear of mine, and after reading the material, and I had some conversations with Suzanne, is just hoping that everyone will be, forthcoming with their concerns and getting them out there so that we can address them or connect them with the right individuals. Because I think sometimes there's users that are afraid of change and won't want to bring up an issue. And if we don't know those or don't have visibility to those, we can't even try and address them for them.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Amalia, welcome here. Whoops, you're muted, Amalia. And after Amalia, Justino.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I have only hopes, no fears.
Okay.
Because especially for finance, we can control all operation in only in one system, because now we have a lot of systems, different systems. And with SIP, we control all with only one. And also for the tax, now we don't have any system. With SAP, is integrate this part also, the taxes, and I have only hopes.
All right. Wonderful. Okay, Justino and then Gabby.
Yeah, I hope as change management process, of course, to help and lead somehow this changing in this operation to achieve the goal with the involvement of the people, the key people that in each operation, and I will add with some happiness in this
Okay.
process.
Happiness is good.
Yeah, and the fear is that there is some, of course, maybe the positive, but by achieving the goal, maybe struggle or cause some stress or necessary um, uh, concerns to the operation. So this is
Okay.
the hope, this is the fears.
All right. Thank you, Gabby, and then Yvette.
Okay, sorry. I'm really happy with this change. In the past, we use CCOR. CCOR is our current system, and we only control the inventories. I'm not fierce. I'm hopes. I hope this system help us to improve all our control. Our current control is manually in Guadalajara. Uh, Now I think SAP will help us a lot, and all the people will be happy. I think so. We'll be happy because in the past or currently we are doing the control manually. That is a big problem because if something forgot to program some material, some some requirements is a big problem. But I think this will be a great improve for us.
Okay, thank you. Yvette and then Suzanne.
For me, it's similar to what Justino said, right? So I think the challenge that we have in front of us is to make this change happen. I mean, to make sure that this project is successful. So my hope is that after these sessions, we go out full of not only knowledge, but also optimism, right? And the strength to be able to do that. And my fear, same as Justino said, right? That we don't, and that as a result, we could be part of a failure. And that's something that we don't want, right? So.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Suzanne.
I hope that everybody will give themselves the capacity to learn and to be open to learning these new skills. And then I hope that throughout these sessions that lights come on and you say, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you can apply this learning not only to your professional life, but to your personal life, and you'll use it forever. Mm-hmm. And my fear is the same, that you don't give yourself the capacity to learn, that you have other things going on in your mind, or you haven't, maybe done the reading assignment. With Diana Wong, everything is very deliberate. So your readings are deliberate, your learning is very deliberate, and you have to stay with it. So please give yourself the capacity to learn.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Suzanne. And I just wanted to welcome Keaton here as well. And we're just doing a check-in, and we did a round of hopes and fears. And so next, I'm going to move us to having a few words from, I'm going to share my screen here again. And move us on to a brief message from Yvette, and then we'll have Keaton to also support. All right, so Yvette, if you would like to take the time here and talk a little bit about presenting issue and asking questions for Keaton and any translation support. You're muted.
Yvette, you're muted.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Gracias, Diana. Yo le pedí a Diana y a Susana el día de hoy que me permitieran tomar unos minutos al inicio de la sesión para comentar dos cosas. Número uno, durante la sesión pasada, siento que cuando estábamos hablando acerca de nuestras expectativas para el entrenamiento o los temores que teníamos, nos enfocamos mucho a la parte técnica, ¿no? Y al no conocer cuál es el calendario o cómo se va a implementar, o la implementación, el plan de implementación de SAP en nuestras plantas. Entonces, como que esta parte está agregando mucha ansiedad a lo que estamos haciendo. Y básicamente lo que les quería decir es que el propósito de este entrenamiento, obviamente, pues no es cubrir la parte técnica, ¿no? Sino que es cubrir, considerando que muy probablemente todos nuestros asociados se estén sintiendo igual de ansiosos o igual de inciertos. Este entrenamiento nos va a proveer con herramientas para cómo manejar esa ansiedad o esa incertidumbre que tal vez nuestros asociados tienen durante el proceso de implementación. Entonces, ese es el propósito de este entrenamiento, no incrementar nuestro conocimiento técnico, no saber más acerca de SAP, sino más bien técnicas para manejar esa incertidumbre, técnicas para ayudar a nuestros asociados a que puedan enfrentar este cambio de una mejor manera y al final, bueno, ser exitosos. La parte que después platicando con Justino me decía, Justino siendo Justino, todo eso se oye muy bien, todo eso está muy bonito, pero al final del camino, si la causa raíz de nuestra ansiedad es el hecho de no saber este plan o este calendario, pues entonces por más porras que le echemos a la gente, no vamos a ser capaces de eliminar esa ansiedad o esa incertidumbre. por lo cual yo comuniqué esta retroalimentación a Susana acá en San Luis. Y el día de hoy Kitan está aquí para dar más información acerca de la parte técnica, ¿no? De la parte del plan de implementación, etcétera, etcétera. Sin embargo, creo que todos los que estamos aquí lo conocemos y a veces como que se queda corto con la información que comparte. Así es que los quiero invitar a que le pregunten, ¿no? Él es la persona que tiene esa información. Él es la persona que nos puede sacar de cualquier duda que tengamos. Entonces, pregunten, levanten la mano, si lo quieren hacer en español y yo traduzco, no tengo problema, pero pregúntenle a Kitan, porque él es el que les puede aclarar o quitar un poquito esa incertidumbre que tal vez pudieran tener por esa parte. ¿Alguna duda o alguna pregunta con esto? ¿No? Ok. La siguiente parte que venía aquí, de hecho es el punto número 1 que dice Presenting Issues Defined. El día de hoy vamos a estar hablando acerca de esta parte de Presenting Issues. Y yo le comentaba a Susan que si traducimos literalmente esto al español, esto significa presentación de problemas. Pero a lo que se refiere el tema y lo que vamos a estar tratando el día de hoy no es acerca de cómo presentar problemas en público o algo así, sino cómo reaccionar cuando un problema se presenta, ¿no? Entonces, esto de presenting issues a lo que se refiere son problemas que ocurren y cómo enfrentarlos. ¿Sí está claro? ¿Alguna duda, alguna pregunta? ¿Alguien está hablando pero está en mute? ¿No? Porque veo al Justino muy sonriente, pero nada más a él lo puedo ver, a él y a Gaby.
¿Cómo reaccionar cuando un problema se presenta?
Sí, exacto, Tania. ¿Dudas, preguntas, comentarios?
No, y ven todo muy claro.
Todo muy claro, Amalia. Gracias, Amalia. Ok, that's it for me. Y en cualquier momento de la presentación, si necesitan algo en español, díganme. De hecho, estaba pensando sugerirles, ya ves que se supone que tenemos la tarea esta de hacer la introducción. ¿Quieren que le diga a Diana que si la pueden hacer ustedes en español o se la avientan en inglés?
¿Era su posición?
¿Cómo?
¿Era una suposición de tarea o era una tarea?
No, la tarea. Pero ¿le quieren, le digo a Diana que en español o que en inglés?
No, hasta preparé una presentación en PowerPoint.
Hijo, ok, entonces así lo dejamos en inglés, pues. Sale. That's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate you helping us out here, Matt. All right, next we have Keaton, and he will provide us with some project updates, and then taking a look at the functions impacted, where we are, where we're headed, and then also if you have questions. All right, Keaton, you have the floor.
Thank you. So I think the team, I was just looking at all the people, who are on the call. Okay. So got a good idea. So I think most of the team knows where we are at a very high level, because they are working on right now where we are. Basically, if you ask me, we are doing the cycle 1 testing, for both for Bradford. We have completed the cycle 1. We want to spend more time in basically getting a lot of hands-on experience. With Mexico, we are doing the finance and the logistics side by end of Friday. I think this Friday we would complete that. So overall, if you ask me, I went to and I met Ryan and I'm taking feedback from the team. So overall, means I would like to, obviously I'm going to open up for questions, what's not working well, what's working well, but the most important part is for us to be also having time to test and check, help in testing and learning and doing things on own in SAP. Okay, so slowly the Bradford team has this week they've finally got some time, not completely, but so they are more into the system. They are testing more and more hand-holding is happening. That is where my my primary concerns are. Okay, so if you ask me, my bigger concerns are that of course we help all the users understand, we make sure that they that they test and we train them. They also have the time to do that. So based on the feedback that I got, we had earlier some more cycles planned. So right now what we have done is we have slowed that down. We want first, whatever training has been done so far, we want to make sure that we give users the time that they can execute all of those functions in SAP, that ask questions, and we handhold them through that process before we move to the next areas of additional testing and all of that. And we are working, just quick update, we are working on getting the scanners and the printers installed, and by Friday the team told me a little bit uh, plus minus maybe a couple of days, but those should be working. We are targeting by this Friday to at least have a sample of scanners, like 3 or 4 scanners per site to be working. Okay. So a lot of focus right now is on the training the people and to make sure that they are able to get time to understand and test in the system. We have some major to be very honest, our biggest challenge has been the quality of data. And everyone would agree, right? This is not a new fact. Everyone knows that the quality of data, whether it be in Mapix or CCore or it's in spreadsheets, etc., is not that good, right? So we understand that part of the challenge, and a lot of focus has put on initially, because Bradford is the first site. We have done a lot of effort. SLP Guadalajara, we are working on it, but they are little behind. Okay, they are definitely, because first we wanted to focus on Bradford. So slowly the data for Bradford is looking better. I'll never say it's perfect. It'll never be at AGC. The data quality is so poor. Okay, but it's because of the number of iterations we have done, and the help of the team. The data is looking better, and we are not stopping you guys like from testing and all, but we are going to load that newer data in a, like what we call it, as a different client, and then once that's working, we will switch. You guys will not face any problem. So we'll switch you all to that client. So overall, at a very high level, we are planning. I'll be very honest, little slower than what we expected, because we expected, and I was talking with David even like a couple of days ago, we had expected there will be a little bit of slowdown, right? But the production has increased actually, right? So I was meeting with Ryan, we are 100%, 103%. So that is causing a little bit of a scheduling challenge. So, working closely with your team, listening to you all, and, adjusting the pace. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we don't, we give, the, we are relying on your guys' feedback, if what is working, what is not working. And if we see something, then we are obviously will say, what, we need more time to test this, etc. Okay, so I'll just pause right now. At a very high level, I would tell you that's where we are. Okay, so we are a little behind. Definitely, we are a little behind. Okay, not too much. If you ask me to quantify, Ketan, I would say probably we are about a couple of weeks behind. Okay, I'll be very honest, 1.5 weeks or 2. But I would rather we make sure that the people understand and they are able to understand and test it, rather than trying to rush through into further areas, etc. So I'll just pause here. More important for me is for you to ask me questions and be very honest, give me feedback. So based on your feedback, I will try my best to work with the team and try to correct what we need to correct.
Okay, from Bradford's side, just some feedback on me. Obviously, it was very well received this week. I think it was a good idea that we let them work on the modules and the homework items. It's also helped them kind of also catch up on some of their work that they had to, especially with physical inventory coming up, shutdown activities.
Yep.
So again, it's been well received that we were able to take a little bit of a break to help them kind of catch up. But at the same point, we've talked as a team that, we don't want to just forget about it. It has to be continuing, and each day they're trying to do some of those modules and get through them. It's obviously they're trying to spread it out over this week and next week, is next week shut down. So it'll be even easier for a lot of the team to be able to get onto those modules, because a lot of production will not be running next week. So again, they're kind of planning their time frame right now. This week's a little bit more of a catch up. Next week, I mean on the regular duties and getting ready for shutdown inventory. And then next week, hopefully they can put a lot of time and energy into getting them all finished. And that way the training then continues into the second week of July, right? So I think going forward, I think that's probably a good way to plan some of this training too, is that we got to kind of both look at the training sessions and then how much homework they have, and trying to somewhat balance those timeframes to make sure that we're not just continually loading more and more and more. I think that time frame is going to be key for them to practice and to find the issues. So I think that's a good. This was good. I think as a test, we'll call it, right. It definitely really helped out. I think with the team, and the stress levels came down a little bit too. So overall, I think that was a very good idea.
So Ryan, I talked with Davide. So what you would? He told me, Ketan, what we can do. I said, let me think. Let me talk with. First what I told him is, let me take a week, because remember we just talked, right? Okay.
Yep.
So we implemented something. We want to see it in motion, and then Ryan, I'll call you and we will brainstorm. If there is, if you feel, what help can we do? Is there other people who can help out, etc., etc. So just FYI, So I told Davide, they were loaded, and he understands that too. But we still want to keep the timeline. So let 1 week happen. Ryan. Like what I wanted to do was this week and half of next week, and then very quickly we will do a touch base. To see where we are. Okay.
Yep. Sounds very good. Now, one thing to note too is just I think we already talked about, just as a reminder though, looking into that October timeframe of the launching phase. We talked about the last 2 weeks being a forward shutdown, and same with the first week of November. So I think that should be to me, that's a very good goal of implementation. So we can start maybe phasing in the beginning of October, and then maybe going live.
And November 1st. It has to be a cutoff of a month. So you would recommend.
Okay.
So the way, sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, but whenever we implement, sir, we always want to have to do it on a month end. Okay.
Okay.
So because that makes it cleaner from an accounting standpoint. You know what I mean, right? Okay. From
yes, I totally understand.
It's a month end close. So, but that's a good suggestion, and it would be very open. So what you are saying is, let me just rephrase it. The last 2 weeks of October are shut down for Ford. Is it correct? Right?
And the first week of November.
Oh, perfect. So last 2 weeks at least. That's the important one, right? So
yes.
If we do it for the first of November, that's something that we would be able to discuss with Davide, and even those 1 month plus minus doesn't matter. Makes sense? Okay.
Yep.
So and to be honest, I don't want to push the date out right now, because I want to first keep that date and push I want to get the training and this everything working. Okay, that's my that's about okay, perfect.
But I just think it's a good opportunity because you only have one customer, right?
Oh,
if you start with the program with one customer and then phase the second customer in, I think that would.
What about Carlex? What about Carlex?
We could definitely ship out all the Carlex requirements.
I see. So it'll be Honda. So it'll be really Honda, right? Really, largely. Huh?
It'll just be Honda starting out.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense. Okay. And just FYI, we got the certification for Honda done too, okay, for the, for the new system. Okay, so perfect.
Great.
Okay, perfect. That helps. Okay, Ryan, really appreciate it.
Yep.
Guys, ask and please ask very direct questions. Okay, Justino, I'm trying my best to keep in touch with the guys and every day to update me. But you please, you Hector, Amalia. Mario, just whoever, okay, just be honest, tell me questions or comments, suggestions, anything.
I think I will try to explain probably what event was mentioning at the beginning. Okay. And maybe that's the reasoning why they invite you, because somehow I think this training that we are receiving is in order to give us some tools or some references how to manage this change. I mean, big change that we'll have as an organization, and we will start with Canada and then Mexico. And the overview, as you mentioned, I think pretty much is very clear to the team what we need to achieve by when, fourth quarter for Mexico, maybe a little bit in early first quarter, I don't know.
Yeah.
But in order to, reflection that we have last week, then is in order to be successful and try to address all these people's question and anxiety, is not that they don't want to do it, is that some of these questions are maybe difficult for the site leaders to address, because those are more from the technical point of view, not for the feeling or they are afraid or they will fail. It's more about the uncertainty from the different areas that when you talk and explore, of course, there is some excitement and there is some positive reactions to the training, for example, as we discussed. But what is ahead of them and in what needs to happen in, for example, in July, August, September, etc. As you mentioned now, and I take the note, and you mentioned that cycle 1 is finished. If you, and I'm not sure, but if you ask maybe Canada or Mexico to those guys, the technical guys that are receiving the training, what is cycle 1? I may guess that they will not know what is cycle 1 or what is cycle 2, or if there's going to be cycle 3 or 4, they don't know. When it's time for them to, for example, production, the smart factory that you and I discussed, and this is with Japan. When I ask Ikeda-san, who is maybe the window persons to the smart factory, he doesn't know what or when. He heard he is in contact with Japan. We know that you are working and fixing, but there is still some uncertainty, and maybe that is the anxiety or the
So
what people is feeling that they are not in control.
Perfect.
And they don't want to fail. Basically,
yeah. So just, you know, let me just take 1 minute and just 1 minute to explain that, okay? I completely understand. So cycle, so we have shared like, so what in cycle 1 we are doing, we are taking the most standard or the basic of the transactions, right? Okay, we can't start off with something which is very complex, got it? Okay, so how many cycles? We have planned about 5 to 6 cycles for Mexico. But cycle is a loose thing, okay? Loose meaning it's not 100%, there will be 6. Can there be 7 or 8 cycles? Yeah, if we don't feel when we are testing completely that it is working the way it is, right, Justino? Okay, we may either elongate a cycle, make it instead of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, etc. A lot of that is just based on the feedback that comes from the users. Does it make sense? Okay, so we know we have to test this much, we have to do this much, correct? Okay, so we break it up into, like we have, say, for example, we have 5 cycles planned for Canada, we have 6 for, say, just as an example, okay, Mexico. The key part for it is, as soon as, you know, I saw, we started, we did that, I saw that the people were not getting. So the most important part is, think of the cycle is a loose concept. Initially, we start with the most standard stuff, okay? And we would then go into, like, because we didn't have the scanners. So now we have set up the scanners, right? So now we would get into the production side of things slowly. Make sense? More from an execution side, etc. Okay? Smart is going to be much later, okay? Or so, because we are working on it, but there are still things that are being ironed out there, okay? So when we start off, we'll start off with the standard transactions. What is very important is for the people to practice, okay? Let's not be nervous. Let's focus on this. Ultimately, the goal is whether it be 6 cycles, 5 cycles, or 7 cycles, okay? Ultimately, all the people who are from a user standpoint have to get trained and have to be comfortable in the new system, okay? So that's the barometer that I'm using. Make sense? Okay. Now, we started you guys early.
Keaton, have we ever defined what is a cycle?
Yeah, means it's not in the truest sense. A cycle is nothing but a collection of test scenarios. Okay, so means I don't know, Suze. That's a good point. You know, we could cycle is just the way we can't test everything at once, so we break it up into manageable chunks, right? Okay, so you know, and the core team work closely with the SMEs to to do that. But more importantly is it's just a way for us to divide and conquer, right? So we start with the basic transactions, then we go into more complex like that, okay? So, but the most important barometer is ultimately, what I check is, are the people able to execute the transactions in the system? Immediately I would know, you know, Are they able to cover the test scenarios? Okay, what is the feedback from them? So even if you say, oh, I'm very comfortable, the testing is going fine, I don't agree to that, because I would check in the system and I have to see if there are, and that's what happened, right? When I noticed about a couple of weeks ago that and based on Ryan's feedback and the team, we have adjusted the pace and the hand holding that we need to do. Okay, so so a part of this will be just like I said, we have a broad timeline. We know what cycles we feel that should which one would like smart was not planned till like cycle 3 or 4, okay, later part of 3 or 4, but it will be based on it will be based on the feedback I get from cycle 1. Make sense? Okay, I would not
and all of this given, of course, and I agree with Brian. I think there is more interaction, more training, and maybe the time allocations to do the how do you call the testing or the exercise that they need to do. The more that they practice, the better. But I think the cycle is something that I just captured right now, and then I know that the people here doesn't know. But also the maybe what I'm trying to express is that if the ERP system is very complex. I know it's very high level and the overview is clear. But when you go to the working themes, I think the visibility or trying to lower down to the manufacturing level when those guys are used to work with a maybe detailed planning, scheduling to see what is the goals. And maybe we discussed this last week, changing management process, especially like this one that is take maybe 1 year or year and a half, is better to break down by phases. And in each phase, you can let the team know what are the things that we need to achieve in that period of time. Maybe you are ahead, you are late. You mentioned right now that we are late 2 weeks or whatever. What are the deliverables for the teams in order to make them proud that they are achieving something? Progress to phase 2.
Perfect. That's a very good. Yeah. So very good.
This concept, I think they are used to, but they don't somehow they don't have visibility on those. And I can give you 2 examples, and maybe we'll review that in the next feedback. Edson right now, as you know, is in the logistic training. And just one word, logistic, and so he pulled a lot of supply chain guys from traffic, international commerce, etc. But it was the entire logistic flow for the material from the receiving through the shipping. So he needed to react, and now there is some production guys. Thank you. Now they are getting training. But those production question is why now? And he was not part of the initial training, so he's maybe a little bit behind of the knowledge. But he needed to speed up because now this is the time that he needed to enter. So it is proper. Yes, no, I don't know, but there is some concerns. And tomorrow I think this is, and maybe Hector can explain a little bit more because now it's costing, right? Costing is only one word, but who needs to be maybe taking the experience from the logistic module. Maybe Hector is wondering who else needs to be there, right?
Yeah. So, Justino, let me explain. Based on, it is never going to be because of the complexity, right? I think the team does a pretty good job, okay? Because we have to balance between taking everybody and the subject matter experts, okay? So you will always find, oh, there is someone there who was, probably should have been taken, okay? That's the nature of the things, okay? But overall, I have reviewed with that and we feel comfortable. I'm not saying it's 100%, okay? You will obviously, because of this project, you might miss it. We would retrain them, etc. But overall, I reviewed after our meeting with Chad and like that, right? So we do feel that we have the right representation, and you guys are bringing in sometimes the people which are there. But one of the things that what I'm going to do is you mentioned a very good thing, like, okay, how do we know what the deliverables are from a cycle perspective? So what we are going to do is I'm going to say for logistics and finance, cycle 1, Bradford, SLP, Guadalajara. Okay. These are the processes we aim that you needed to be comfortable at. Are you with me? Okay. These processes, transactions, functions make sense. Okay. And then we would evaluate. Okay. We would have an objective evaluation. Okay. Okay. Where you give, okay, where we rate you guys and you rate, and we'll see, okay, how many transactions you passed, how many scenarios were tested, all of that. So I'll produce a sort of a, what I call it as a scorecard, okay, for which everyone can, and then for further cycles, okay, we would define what functionality at a high level, okay, we are going to cover in cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, cycle 5. How about that? Okay, so define the functionality that is covered in cycle, each cycle. Okay, it will not be perfect, just but it will be pretty good. Makes sense? Okay, so you would know what business processes or functions we are attacking in each cycle. Okay, but I want you to understand that we would fine tune that. Say, for example, in cycle 1, we targeted something and it didn't happen the way we planned. We will put that also in cycle 2. Make sense? Okay, so at one point of time, I will tell you, okay, this is what we plan for cycles, and this is the functionality, and we would give you, at the same time, we will monitor whether you guys are able to pass transactions, you are comfortable, handhold, etc. So it will be both ways. Make sense?
Yep.
Huh? So I will do that. So in the next presentation that I would have soon, maybe a week or around that time frame, okay, I would week or week and a half, I would have the cycle and what is covered in each cycle and what our expectations are, and so the team can see, like say Amalia passed these many transactions were passed in AP, AR. Like I know today your Hector is they have gone through AP, AR, GL, and they are planning cost center accounting or CO tomorrow, Hector, Amalia. So I know the details, but that's a good suggestion, So we are capturing all that information, and that's why we ask people to do that. But I think bringing it to a higher level so that everyone understands where each functionality is tested and, where we are going would be helpful. Okay?
Keaton, I something that maybe could be helpful, and I don't know, maybe it already exists, but to have like a project, a plan that it's clear on what are the steps or the stages or the phases for the implementation of in each one of the areas, and then this way, in a very visual way, people can say, okay, this is where we are, this is what is coming next. And I understand we can be flexible, right? If we are behind, people can understand, okay, this is why we are behind, but this is where we are heading. Maybe it already exists. I don't know if everybody knows it, but if it doesn't, I think something like that will help everybody to have a better understanding of where we are, because I understand what you're saying, that these cycles maybe are flexible. They could be 2 or 3 or 10, but at some point they need to finish, right? We cannot be like that for 2 years. So what is the timing on when?
So Yvette, all of that, if you see the detailed plan that is there, everything is there in the detailed plan, which cycle, what date they will start, what they'll end, okay? The confusion is not with regards to that. The confusion is what is contained in each cycle, okay? So what I wanted to do was just supplement that with what is going to be contained in each cycle. Get it?
Keaton, where is that detailed plan?
Here, hold on, let me share.
Okay, thank you.
So,
¿La gente de México ha visto este plan detallado del que habla Keaton?
Sí, de hecho, Ivette, quería compartirles mi pantalla para preguntarles si está aplicando, si es el mismo todavía el actual que nosotros tenemos. Déjame compartirla.
Creo que Keaton también la va a compartir ahorita.
Sí, pero sí, él hace tiempo que nos compartió el detalle de cómo iba a ser la planeación.
Yeah, so that plan, I think everyone has there. The issue is not with the event, the plan or like that, okay? But it's really to do with like, okay, and that is usually very dynamic. We just take the core processes and say, okay, these are the ones that we would cover, in like cycle 1, cycle 2, because of the scope of processes, but I'll show you 1 second, okay?
So what Amalia was saying, Keaton, is that she has one that was shared with her a long time ago, and she doesn't know if this is current or if it has changed or where we are.
No, same. We are keeping to the, okay, I'll just open up, okay? 1 second, okay? So,
Keaton, are you wanting to share your screen?
I will, okay? 1 second. I just opened up the document. Just 1 second.
But maybe what this tells us is that the fact that the people doesn't know if the plan that they have is current, this is already telling us something, right?
Yeah, it's same. It's okay. So can you open up the? I'm not able to share. Diana, can you give me the authority to share? Oh, now I do. Okay, hold on.
Diana, you're muted.
Yeah, I got it. So see, this was the same plan that we had sent for each one has cycles. Okay, if you see cycle 1, what will be there, cycle 2, what will be there, and we have essentially stuck to this as close as we could. Does it make sense? Okay, so except that this was on site, instead of on site, now we are doing by Zoom. Make sense? Zoom or Teams and all that, right? Okay, so this the challenge is not that. So we try to keep so Yvette, I'm trying to keep to the dates that are there mentioned. Just to give you an example, okay? So we are already, the security is working, but just as an example, if you look at say Bradford here, okay, just an example. So we did the master data on the week of 5/4 through 5/8. Okay, we did that from 5/11 to 5/15. So we are essentially largely now. If you see cycle here from 5/18 to 5, we try to stick as close to these cycles as much as possible. Okay. Now so what my idea is, I'm going to of course update this, because slight changes have happened, but more importantly, when you say cycle, I think the confusion is what is covered in the cycle, right? So I'm going to explain at a broad level. These are the things will be covered in cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, for SLP Guadalajara, and 1, 2, 3, 4 with Bradford. Okay, with the subject that, remember that is all flexible. It's not, there is nothing which will be 100% because things are dynamic. Okay,
Yeah.
so because sometimes the problem of planning everything day by day is it's a disaster, because one week you have a person doing this, next day is not available, there is a shift. So we have to have a fine balance between trying to plan day by day versus planning, okay, these are the deliverables, this is what I'm going to cover in cycle, and I want the cycle to be completed approximately this time. Okay, so and that's how we do it. So what I'm going to do still is the definition of cycle, what is covered in each cycle, etc., uh, 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 is what we are going to make it explicit. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does. I guess I have a question, because a file like this, it is very good to document what needs to happen, but it's not so easy to keep track, right?
Very difficult.
So if I look at this is very well documented and it's very well explained. But if I want to very quickly look at the project and say, okay, this is where we are, we were delayed here, and this is where we're going, this file is not so easy to see that. So I don't know if you have maybe like a project.
We have so many plans. We have so many plans. Means with the amount of detail, the problem is not of that. Yvette, I have plans which will have like hundreds and hundreds of tasks. The issue is not of that. The issue is of we want to keep it at a high level with the business users. Okay. So
now, is this what the business users want? To keep it at a high level?
They would have to, because there are in the project there are so many technical tasks that they would have no understanding of. So just to give you an example, like right now, when all these activities are going on, I have people building scanners, I have people building. So the project plan has a lot of activities there. So that's it's not only with the business users, right? What we want to do is separate out the business aspects from that. So leave it to me. Let me get the details that are required, from a cycle standpoint. Okay, because that's where the major visibility challenges.
Just one
Yvette,
last
are you
comment. I
referring
don't
to
think
maybe
there.
a timeline that allows people to see the activities and then be able to drill down? So at a very quick glance, here we are, and oh, this is a gap. So they can do a gap analysis very quickly.
That's exactly right. That's what I was talking about. Something very simple, not very deep level, very simple.
I'll tell you, I mean, I can do that. It's not going to, let me think about that. Okay. Let me think about that. I'll get back. Okay. Means I understand the requirement. I don't agree completely in terms of, because I know the tasks are right now. I want to focus with this on the business user acceptance testing. I want to separate from the entire project. Okay. So right now what we are focused on is user acceptance testing or testing and training. Okay. So if we want, what I would do is I would just have a mini project plan for the user acceptance testing and the training part. Make sense? Okay, because that's what the business users are concerned about. They are not concerned about all of the activities of the project. Make sense?
So Keaton, one thing I would say is that as an example, with Chad and logistics side, say Jason with accounting, and there's IT and there's different groups, I'll call it, right?
Yep.
Maybe if each group leader sort of had a bit of a high level plan that was distributed out to the teams, and not to everyone, because not everybody needs to know everything, right? They only need to know really specifically to their area, right? So maybe that might be something we can look at, is that each kind of subgroup leader maybe comes up with more of that project planning and high level understanding, of what from now until October, here's sort of the milestones. It doesn't have to be perfect. It could be flexible, but just sort of those milestones by group, maybe.
Yeah, so exactly. See, Ryan, I'm telling you exactly. We have it in much more than milestones. We have all the details. Like right now, when we are working through, we are building up the security. Are you with me? So if you see here, so just as an example, you guys are not aware of it. Right now, as we build, the team is already working on the security, everything to do with security. You see this here, 5.4, we started. So it's there in the plan, okay? These guys, like, again, Chad and like that, I think the more important is, say for example, Karen and Jason are working with Elsa and Stella, right? Just as an example, okay? Or Surek. So basically what I want to, like you said, a group, but remember there are many cross-functional areas too. What I want to focus on are the business processes or the business areas. Get it? Okay. Like, and in cycle 1, by month, by week, this is what we are covering. This is what we are covering. Once we have that, and then we already have exactly the security, we have the cutover plan, when we are going to convert the data over, all the testing. The gap is, Ryan, because I'll tell you, we have all the business scenarios, right? We just took up the business scenarios and we broke it up into cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, cycle 5. Make sense? Okay. That needs to be communicated at a high level. So everyone knows, okay, this we are going to test at this point of time, this we are going to train at this point of time. So that good.
I just know I see this, and I've seen this before. I just don't know realistically how much they're looking at this. That's my fear, is I don't know.
I'm going to change this, right? So based on this, I'm going to change. I'm going to so basically, if say for example, Karen, Jason, and your finance team, or if it is say Chad and like that, it's your logistics team, right? Okay.
Yep.
They need to know, what I want the business users to know is when they would be testing what business processes, when are they expected to complete testing those business processes.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
And that's what really matters. If you ask me the project plan,
Correct.
right? But see, that's like 20% of the task. There is 80% of the tasks that are, which are what I consider at, non-business user related, right? Okay. I don't want to confuse Ryan with that part. Okay. So we focus on what the business users need to test, where they need to get training, and we are monitoring that. Otherwise, I wouldn't know, that the transactions are not being passed, etc. We are a couple of weeks behind. Okay. So, but where the disconnect appears to me, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, because I would have expected like Elsa or Stella or, Robin and like that, but it's natural. They should know at this point of time. I want everyone to know, right? Say by end of October or beginning, whatever we decide on, whether it's the 15th or like that. I have it. They should know in a simple 3-4 slides. Okay. This is where we need to be and this is where we are. And these are the functions or business processes that need to be tested in a weekly fashion. Get it? Okay. So once that is there, then anyone can make an assessment of whether, we are too much behind or we are, on track or we are behind. Get it? But I want that to remain at a business process level or a function level. Make sense? Like, so Elsa, okay, she's doing AP. Like, I know today they did an AP. Like, that is the level at which I want to be in terms of business process or function. I don't want to be at the level of, too many detailed tasks. Okay, too many detailed tasks.
Yep. No, I get it. It's just, I think what they've been up until now, it's more or less as they go over a section, right? Then they understand what the targets of that section is, and they go over it that week, right? But it doesn't appear to me like from, you know, each month and all those stages, they don't appear to, again, I could be wrong, but they don't appear to know all those stages. They just know the stage they're in.
I get it. Valid
Right?
point. Okay, very
Yeah.
very valid point. So that needed to be communicated, but it's a very valid point. I will make that happen by next week, if not latest by early part of week after next. Okay.
Perfect.
So
That sounds good.
all areas would have clear. This is what it is. For Mexico, it will be a little loose because you guys are a little bit later, but it will be still pretty clear. Okay. Like, okay, this is where we are going to do this. This is where we are going to do this. Okay. So, and we are following that, like with per the timeline. Okay. So, but once that is there, you take the feedback, and then Justino, I want you to revert back whether that is detailed enough or you need more details. Make sense?
Actually, I think I think what Justino was talking about, and I think it is the same thing that Ryan is saying, right? So a big picture timeline to know, okay, where we are and what is next and when this needs to happen. And then this file that you have in front of us is perfect to have all the details of what's happening and the dates and everything, but at least like Diana was saying, right? A time lag with the project management, with, you know, just general information, very high level of where we are, what needs to happen when. That would be really helpful. I think for all of us that we work in the automotive business, this is a very normal way to manage a project, right? That's how we are used to see a project to be managed, right? So you have the timeline, and you have what is it that needs to be achieved by when, in a very high level way. And then after that, of course, you have a file like this with all the details that you need to have, but just a quick picture to know.
We have the high level. I have so many documents. I've sent that. It's not the high level. Even I'm sorry, but I have high level documents which has been shared, you know, in presentation. Okay, it will not give them. What they need is, because immediately from high level it will be low level. Okay, what they need to know is for that cycle. Okay, that's the challenge they're running into. See, now I realize after talking. Okay, like they need to know, like say for example, Ryan, from now till end of October, he needs to know, the complete team needs to know what needs to be tested at a detail level, when it is going to be tested, okay? What is the expectation, you know, in terms of deliverables for each cycle that these guys should have, etc. So I have the high level. I could show that document to you right now. I would include that. I would include the additional document that I'm talking about, you know. So then we have everybody on the same page. Okay, trust me on that one. Okay, because otherwise it'll be. I know what will happen. Okay, it'll be again, you know, they would not get the information. Is what I'm worried about. I know exactly what you. I have all the high level stuff. Okay, the problem is the high level is not detailed enough when it comes to the question of when is the smart system going to be tested. Okay, when is the because it's part of the cycle. You know, it's not part of a high level plan. It's part of a cycle testing. Okay, so let me get that. Let me assimilate the high level. Let me get this, and then I would be able to better understand. Okay, and Justino, let me ask you one. I think I understood Ryan well. What I described to Ryan, if your team, like say Hector, Amalia, Edson, if they know these are the business processes, these are going to be tested during these weeks, you know, going through, say from now till December, okay, etc., etc. Does that suffice? Testing goes with training. Does that suffice for you, your team, to get a picture? Okay, this is what they are planning, etc. Or is there anything more from your side?
Yeah, I think that suffice, but please don't misunderstand. I think, again, this is very complex project, but the more that we can digest, overview is okay for me. But I think maybe the question will be, if you ask me, my preference will be that you have the leaders that are giving the training to the finance, supply chain, production eventually. Those needs to be in contact with the, I would say, the users or customers. And these guys needs to be clear what needs to happen, when, what process needs to be changed, test, and change.
Perfect.
Once they know, I think this uncertainty and this afraid or this fear to fail would disappear. The only
perfect.
feedback that you and I can receive is we are ahead, we are late, I need more resources or whatever
Perfect.
to achieve the goal. But if you ask me, my preference is whatever the team decides to present, but if they have that visibility very clear, white and black, somehow, with some milestone and some achievements and maybe checking point to, as an internal team, they can judge their progress and just report out to you or to me, and we can address any
no
outstanding
problem.
concerns.
Just yeah. So good, very good feedback. Okay, I need about maximum 2 weeks, probably a week and a half. Okay, before that, because we have a long weekend next week. A lot of the core members are taking a couple of days off. Okay, so I would have some. They already have that. I'm just going to formalize that. In a single document. Okay, put some milestones, etc. So. Little bit surprised by the this one, but I thought they would have already. But we'll just formalize it and communicate it to all the 3 locations. Okay, so then everyone would be on the same page. Make sense? Okay, so
yep.
etc. Okay, and it's taken much more than 20 minutes of the time, but this is good. Okay, any other questions? Please, Hector, Amalia, Edson.
Well,
Hector?
Hector, I would like to use and express part of my feelings about this situation. At the beginning of this,
Hector, can you speak a little louder? Hector?
and you listen to me much better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, sorry. I would like to express my feelings about this situation right now. We started this today meetings with some words, fears, and I said we don't feel fears. I think we have a lot of concerns. For example, in March, at the end of March, we, as a controllers, we receive a training to use one system who will be work in parallel with SAP. Amalia and myself received this training and we received the invitation to testing this system and provide information about these failures that the system have. We did it no full the time because we had a lot of things to do. But at this moment, after 3 months, my concern is that my people who will be managed this system, they don't receive training yet. And I think the people who will be provide information in this system, also they don't receive training yet. So how we are continue as a controllers using and testing this system if at the end we will not use it? We will not be the final users.
So, are you 1 second? Are you talking of Panaya or are you talking of SAP?
On base.
Oh, on base. Okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. Don't worry more. Okay, so the entire on base training we are going to do again. Okay, the entire on base training. Okay, see, let me explain, Hector.
Yeah, let me finish. You said that we are going to receive another training, but the question is when? Because again, so I cannot see it here, and we are receiving a lot of emails requesting that testing, but at the end, in my experience, and this is what we are living now, at the end we will not be the users. So how we are going to continue training if our people will be the first people that have to receive this training?
Okay, so on base, because we cannot do everything together, right? When we did on base, we wanted to make sure that the on base was done before, because it's not SAP, it's a different solution, correct? Okay, so we have built the capability within AGC now. When you see the cycles, you are going to see. So if you feel like, okay, that training with on base was not adequate, okay, because your people did not receive it. I know you're working with Karen and Andrew, right? You and Amalia were working with Karen and Andrew, right? Am I right? For that training for the on base, you first time I'm hearing that. You let me know. I will make sure that the training is arranged in the cycles. Okay. So my expectation was that when the training happened, Hector, you would have understood the process, and you would be able to spend some time to train the users. Okay. If no, not a problem. You let me know. I will have 1 week of training, 3 days of training, 2 days of training to make sure that your people get trained. But in the SAP sessions, your users are attending the training, correct? That's what Karen and Jason and Suresh and Jorge tells me, correct?
Yeah,
For
that's
SAP.
correct.
Yeah, so no problem. You tell me. See, you bring it up to me. I will include it in the plan. And the problem was OnBase is a different application, and we cannot do everything together, right? So I had OnBase done before, okay, but we have built the skills within AGC. So I have people who are expert in OnBase within AGC now, and we can absolutely train you guys for that. And again, for Mexico, I'll be very honest. For Mexico, a lot of your invoices are coming via Edicom. Okay, right? Okay. So for Mexico, OnBase is not that critical an application. Make sense? Okay. So it's very different for OnBase was, even though we are standardizing it, even though I want it to be for all processes, you're not going to scan the invoice in OnBase for a document that is going to come from Edicom. Make sense? All the supplier invoices that you get from CFDI, you're not going to scan it into OnBase. Okay?
Okay.
Huh? Yes, no worries. No worries. I will.
I understood. So it's clear what will happen with OnBase. It's clear what will happen. But at the end, so my expectation when we receive the training is in the following weeks, all people will receive the same training, and 3 months is passed, is all gone, whatever you want to say that, and we are still waiting for this. But in the other hand, we are receiving directions to testing this platform. So if this is not your concern or the concern of the people at a high level, is not the concern on base, for us is, because we don't know when the people will be training. You understood my point?
I got it.
Maybe for you is not on concern, but for us who will receive the training, and for us will we receive the emails in order to continue testing and using the system, is our concern.
Yeah. So I'll be see, when the OnBase training was there, Hector, the idea was that you and Amalia, when they got trained, you would be able to also train your people. Okay. Like when we trained you guys, what the expectation was that you would be, after you tested, you would be able to train your people. If you feel, you know what? No,
okay.
You know what?
Okay, hold, I will stop in that moment. How we can I train my people if we don't have the system in the computers of my people?
No, so we will see, Hector. You pointed that out right now. This is the first time I'm hearing about OnBase, right? So we would install it, we would get all of that organized, and then, like I said, we have the capability built in within AGC, and we can train you guys. But I didn't hear. See, I did not. This is the first time I heard that OnBase is not installed on all the users and like that. So I'll follow up on that. Okay, I will make sure that you have 6 people in the team. All of them have OnBase installed, etc. But like I said, I would look into it. Okay, but anything is there, like you're pointing it out right now, Hector. You can immediately ping me, Ketan. What about OnBase or like that? And I would this is the first time I came to know, right, Hector? Make sense? You can always tell me, ask me also, like this is there, I would include it in the plan. We are trying to make sure everything is done as planned, but I wasn't aware that the OnBase was not installed on the other computers and all that.
Yeah.
Makes
Well,
sense?
basically today we touch again this issue, so maybe that will be shared more later with you, because today we spoke again with this concern that we have.
No problems. No problems.
It's
How
not
is
the
the
first
SAP?
time.
How is the SAP? How is the SAP side? Are the people attending all the SAP sessions now? Don't worry about the OnBase. I can get that done in 1 week. Okay, or 3 days, 4 days. Okay. But how is are the people attending the SAP sessions now for the SAP? in
Yeah,
SAP? Okay,
yeah,
okay,
all the people is involved.
okay.
Even
Are they?
if they are
Okay.
doing another task not related with the
Oh,
general
perfect,
transaction,
perfect,
for example, I be involved because my interest is that all my team needs to
perfect,
know everything in order
perfect,
to
perfect,
provide support.
perfect. And is it going okay? Is it going okay? Better?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. No problem,
As
no
soon
problem. So,
Jorge Acosta joins as a trainer in Spanish, the
yeah.
people was more efficient, asking and working together in order to receive the training in
Yeah,
better
it's
ways.
well. Yeah. So Hore was not the first few sessions. Hore was not doing very well. You know, I had a lot of talk with him. He's still sometimes not prepared properly. You know,
I
so
don't
we are
want to
working.
say I don't want to say it was not very well. So I think it was taking too much time because
I
we
know,
are
I know.
using. Suresh was explained to us in English, and then we had to stop and then thought continue with the Spanish. As I thought explained, he's doing a very good efforts,
Okay.
but takes too much time in order to explain, translate, and practice.
Yeah, yeah.
Now with Jorge is more efficient. Is more efficient. Yeah.
Perfect. Huh? Perfect. But what I told Hore also, because Todd gave me feedback, you know, that he wasn't prepared for a session like one day, you know. So we are making sure that he gets prepared and all that, you know, doing the best we can there. But like you pointed out, right? I'll be very honest. Hector, I did not even know that OnBase was like, because there are so many things. Remember the size of the project, right? All you need to do is send me, just ping me or send me a small email and I'll look into it. Got it? So now that I know that OnBase is like that, I'll have the right people. We have built up good capability of OnBase within AGC. Okay. So we can absolutely train you. Okay. And you and the team. And again, okay. Huh? But we had to do that early. I want you to trust me because we had to get that part implemented before we get into SAP training. Okay. So that's the reason. That's the reason that you and Amalia were before. Okay. It was by plan. It's not like something I missed. Okay. So
okay, thank you.
Okay, no worries. Huh? But you are my customer. You can always tell me anything. Okay. So you have to tell me, Ketan, you missed this OnBase, you know, I'll correct it. Okay. So perfect. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Okay. Very good feedback. And I take these feedback not negatively, guys. I take it very positively. Okay, I'm very happy because the feedback that I get is people are very passionate. They're working, you know. But again, I want you to just imagine the size of the project is very large. Okay, guys. So, like Justine was saying, I can't know every detail, right? Huh? So I try to, but I don't know every detail. Okay. So sometimes if we miss, etc., definitely you just have to send me an email or send me Skype or Teams, ping me and I'll call back. Okay. But I will have I have a good grasp of what you guys need from cycles and like that. I think once I do that, you guys will be completely clear. This is what is tested this week, this month. This is where we are. Okay. I know exactly what you guys need. Okay. We have that. I just have to put it in the few slides and share it with you guys. Okay. How is do we have anybody on logistics side from Mexico? Is it, or Ryan from your side, is it getting better? Like your teams are I know we had a few hiccups with the consultant, right? Remember like Charlene not coming in? You know, we got cancelled, Ryan, you know, the session got cancelled. Huh?
Yeah, nothing. I haven't heard any major issues on the logistics side right now. I think it's more or less just catching up, and which they're doing. Like Greg, obviously, being forklift, but he's been doing overtime, so catch up on the sessions and everything else. So I think everybody's just playing catch up mode. So I think it's pretty.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Yeah. Ketan, do you have a sense of timing of when this information can come out to the team? Because that will be helpful
week and
for
a half. So
a week and a half?
Yeah, minimum. So this week is swamped right now. Okay, Diana. So next week is the first time my team, at least they are taking 2-3 days off. These guys have not taken vacation in probably a year now. Huh?
Oh.
So I would say the week of the 6th of July is what we would aim for. Okay. But you would definitely have it. Definitely we would have that by the 10th of July. Okay. Definitely, if not before. Okay.
That's very helpful for us to think about as we continue with the Change Champion.
Oh, 100%. Like once I commit a date, you would have it. Okay. Like I'm just not sure I feel bad, Diana, right now to push them any further because they are at a breaking mode right now, So I think the July 6th through July 10th, between that week, we would give that part, okay? And before we just throw the document over, what we would do is we would have a session, with each group area. Are you with me? Very quickly, okay? This is and explain it also at the same time, take feedback, before we hand over the document. Make sense? Okay? And so we would do it that way. Rather than just pushing the document, it makes sense to explain, this is what's going to happen, etc., and then share the document. Okay.
Okay, this was extremely helpful, this conversation.
Oh,
and I
very
think it
nice.
was very much of a needed conversation as well. Is there anyone else who will have comments or questions? Because this is your opportunity to pose any specifics to while we have Ketan here.
Please, guys, you can tell me anything. Remember, you are my customers. Okay. So anything you tell me, I take it positively. Okay.
Okay, Suzanne, did you want to share something here, or did you want to wait until Ketan has gone? What's
I can show it. I just want to see if tell me how to do this.
okay? So Ketan will come off the screen and then go to the bottom of your bar.
Yep, I stopped
and
my
it's the
share.
share
You
screen.
can stay for a second here.
Yeah, I stopped the share. Okay, Suze?
Yeah. So now move your cursor down towards the bottom, and there's a green arrow that says share screen.
It says it's just, oh, okay, I see now, I see.
Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Remember this?
Yeah, I have other one also. You keep going, but that's not important. I'll tell you, they need much more detail. But you go ahead.
I don't think so, Keaton. I think I'm going to run it past the group. I don't think they need anything more than this because it outlines the functional area, what is happening now, who's doing it, and what's going to happen next.
I think they need much more, but don't worry. You share it, Suze. I completely trust you. You do it, but I'm going to.
Old. This is not.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That
I don't think we need to reinvent anything. We just need to maybe add some columns or rows on here to put better dates in there, and then we just update this.
Send me if you don't mind, dear, with the amount of swamping I have. If you don't mind, could you send me that presentation over, dear? Later.
Absolutely.
Huh? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so that way, but I would, like I said, we have so much of plans and like that. Right now, it's just focused on that. I would absolutely, but I know point well taken. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
No worries. Okay.
Has the team seen this? Like people who are on this call, have you gone through this particular slide deck?
Canada, have you seen it?
Yeah, so we've seen like a lot in the beginning. There was some presentations. I don't remember exactly if this was a particular one, but we did see some presentations again at the very start. So I think now more or less what's needed is more of an update and a progression we talked about in this call, right? To see where we are, where we're going, which we've already talked about. So I think maybe let's see if with Keaton can kind of come up with a summary of the key steps coming up.
Yep.
And some of those business measurables, KPI, which you talked about. Let's try to make it as easy as possible, and I think we can make something workable for everyone.
Yep, Suze, I'll take it. I'll make it happen. But just send the template over. I'll make it simple. I know exactly. I think I know 90%, 100. I'm 90% sure I know what exactly Justino and Ryan and from Guadalajara would need. Okay, huh? It's a point well taken. I would once I give that, and more importantly, like Justino said, it's not possible for our position to know everything. So. And my core team is very much in sync with me. Just they have been also over, they have a lot on their plate. I'm still going to make sure that all of these guys exactly know, for each cycle and each area, what is going to be covered. So that way, then when they work with the people, we are all in sync. Okay. But I just want to mention one thing. We are looking at the size of the project, 100% we are going to miss few things. Okay. Like Hector pointed out on base. Okay, 100%. I take responsibility. I really thought, let us know. Okay, don't keep it within yourself. Bottled up. Okay, just let me know. Hey, Ketan, on base. You've dropped the ball on this one. Make sense? Okay, and I'll make sure that we would include that. It's just the scope of the thing, guys. It's a very massive project, right? So as much as we try, we have a very lean team. So, but we would correct it immediately. Okay, so.
Thank you, Keaton.
Okay, really appreciate
Thank
guys.
you. I know we went over
Thank you
your
guys.
time, and we
Have
appreciate
a nice
it.
weekend. No, anytime. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as given our agenda, we are a little bit off our timing, but I do want to provide an opportunity for an open discussion. Could I hear from each of you how you're doing, where you are, given this conversation, your feedback and your thoughts, given the dialogue you've had with Keaton just now? Okay, so I just want to do a quick check-in because our process is going to have to change. So I just want to just check in. I'm going to call on each of you. So maybe Gabby and then Brenda. Gabby, if you could tell us how you're making sense of the conversation with Keaton.
Sorry, about conversation with Ketan? Okay. I think it's good that we make or we take the issue because maybe the people that has developed the project no see or no watch or concerns. For example, we have concerns according to the people of SLP, San Luis Potosí. Our people don't know how are we today. What phase is what cycle is the cycle 2, cycle 3? When will the end of the project in Guadalajara? I think it should be more clear. More clear.
Okay, thank you. Brenda and then Tanya. Just very quickly, how you're making sense of what was shared.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is a genuine lack of communication with the Mexican team, and perhaps this was this might have been a bit of our frustrations earlier on as well. And Brian can elaborate better than I can because he's been involved with this a little bit longer. But perhaps we might be able to be of some assistance to the Mexican team.
Great, thank you. Tanya, how are you feeling? And then Ryan.
So thank you. I think the program needs to be clear, maybe with dates and specifying roles and dates.
Diana, will be okay if somebody wants to speak in Spanish and I can translate?
Yes, please. Yes.
That's all.
Okay. Okay. Ryan, Justino. Okay, so Ryan first.
Yep. So I think obviously it's been very focused on like we'll call the individual cycles we talked about. So when we got into a cycle, they would talk about that topic, right? All those topics, but they couldn't see the bigger picture, right? So there's a lot of questions of what's next. When are we going to get into the next material? So that's sort of been the main questions coming out, and they've been answering those questions kind of individually. In the beginning, as I said in the call previously here, there was some very high level schedules and some details, but honestly, it was almost like too much information in the beginning and not enough, easy to understand material. So I think that's where if Keaton can come back with some stuff that shows more basic timeline by department, so logistics, accounting, because we don't need everybody together now. There's no point in having every department knowing everything else about the department. It just has to be by those silos. If those silos have a quick, understanding of the next 5 cycles, the main topics coming up, they can process that in their head and they can prepare themselves. Okay, I don't need to ask that question now. It's coming up in cycle 3. They'll know that, right? So I think it's for Bradford, we're a little bit deeper into the cycles now, so they're starting to see this information, but I think it could have been beneficial up front if they had known all that up in the beginning, right? And again, they probably could have read through it and maybe understood it themselves, but that would have taken a lot of time and they probably wouldn't have grasped it, right? So that's sort of the summary there. I think we'll get there. It's just communication's key and project planning's key.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Justino and then Hector.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe similar opinion. I should first of all apologize to you, Diane and Susan. I think that we take this change management training course, and maybe the discussion was more on the technical side from the project management point of view, but maybe it was important because somehow the role that we have been tasked is how to merge these two functions that we discussed last week. So maybe I perceive, of course, and I need to recognize that this whole ERP project is very complex, especially when you try to implement in the North American with Canada, Mexico, and then US. I think there is many different ways to do it, but very complex. So initial communication, as Brian mentioned, it was very excited. But when we reach to the execution point of view, I think there is some improvement or discussions that we have had with Keaton that somehow I think there is openness to improve. Maybe, as Brian mentioned, project management is not technical, is not human, but this is at the end a skill that we need in this equation, right? Because if you take the both parties, as I tried to explain to Keaton time ago, his guys that are very experts and programmers and etc. But and our guys that also they know the function, as Hector mentioned, they're going to be end up doing the job. And maybe the communication is only on the technical side, but project side there is a gap that I see there. If these two are not communicating each other what needs to happen when, and they're ahead of late, I think there is only frustration for both sides. I need to be fair. Maybe Keaton's team also is wondering why we cannot provide 1 week full of training and testing and whatever. And our guys is when is it time for me to be trained, or there is some things that they're wondering and not knowing. So if we try to, maybe as Brian mentioned, take these lessons learned and for the other companies that Ohio, Kentucky, and Alabama, I think that should be beneficial. One way or another, I guess there is openness from both sides to make this implementation in the best ways that we can do. And it's our responsibility to close those gaps, do something with it, and move forward. Time-wise, I think Canada is first, so maybe the struggle is a little bit more over there, and then Guadalajara, Mexico, and then I'm not sure if Italy or Ohio, but I think we can come up with some good feedback and ideas and be receptive, both sides, the manufacturing and the ERP team guys. So I think at the end, everything is for good. I want to believe.
Yeah. No, this conversation critical has been very helpful because part of change is to try not to be shooting in the dark. And so by having this context, it's helpful to support and also to be able to sort of see what people know, what they don't know, and who can help in this process. So I really appreciated Brenda's comment, say like, you know what, given they're maybe half a step ahead, they can still reflect back and share as things unfold. Hector, and then Amalia.
Well, I think I spoke enough, but basically, sorry for taking your time in order to
No.
share these kind of issues, but I think one of the things that I try to express is the passion that we have with this project. In my case and in my team case is not first again. There is no first expectation about this, and of course, as a part of as a leader of my team, I am very passionate about this. So I convinced my people that we'll be more happy with this new system working together with all the areas working in the same system and getting the information as much as possible clear for not only for us, also for the internal people, clients that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Amalia and then Kenny.
The conversation about Kitan, I think, was helpful for us because I think he has a lot of information in his head because have Mexico, Estados Unidos, US and Canada, and I think is for me, in case that we have any concern, we can ask directly to Kitan. This is helpful for us.
Okay. Thank you. Kenny and then Mike.
Yeah, I think that hearing Keaton talk like that about the project and my role and Mike and Suzanne are located in Farmington Hills. So we understand the timeline with go live dates. We've got Bradford, we've got SLP in Guadalajara. But I think understanding the functions and the timing will, show the Farmington Hills team how our roles and how our duties will change, because he talked about scanners and printing labels and whatnot. But the team in Farmington Hills isn't actually doing that. So seeing that timeline will maybe tell the Farmington Hills team how their jobs will change and their roles will change as well.
Okay, thank you. Mike, welcome here. As you can see, you jumped into the middle of this.
Yeah. So I again, sorry for being late, but I missed the majority of Keaton's presentation. But I think kind of echoing Kenny's comments that he just made as well. So it's from a corporate standpoint, obviously SAP is going to be beneficial for us, but it's going to have a larger impact, I personally feel, on the plant. So understanding the timeline there and how their roles are going to change will just allow us to better support them. So again, hear all of it, but just general thoughts.
Okay, thanks. Okay, and Suzanne and then, Yvette and then Suzanne. Any other last thoughts in reflecting about the conversation with Keaton?
I think it was a good conversation. I think everybody shared a little bit of their fears or their frustration or concerns, right? So I think having this open conversation is always beneficial. So we just need to keep it. And another thing that it's important, and this is just based on some of the comments that some of the people from Mexico was making, they're a little bit concerned that they've discussed these kind of things in the past and then nothing happened. So giving follow-up and making sure that this time we will get what we need, right? And that we are being listened to in these frustrations or in these concerns. So in the end, I think we all want to achieve the same purpose. We are working in the same direction, and we need to help each other, right? So that's the way that I see it. It was positive, and we need to keep on doing it.
Thank you, Yvette. Suzanne.
I agree with everything Yvette just said.
All right. Okay.
Of course.
So we are going to move into our homework as the next agenda item, but I really feel we need a break. So why don't we take 12 minutes, come back at, my time says 3:40. So what time is it in Mexico?
2:40.
2:40. All right, so let's return at 2:40. All right, see you in about 12 minutes.
¿Cómo está el Power mexicano?
¿Cómo está qué?
El Power mexicano.
Bien. ¿Dónde está Amalia? Hola, Amalia.
Hola, Justino.
Ahora sí te veo. Ahora sí ya no estás en testigos ocultos.
Protegidos, testigos protegidos. La Ivette que ve mucha televisión.
Le sobra el tiempo a la idea. Oye, ahora, ¿dónde está José Arrezola? ¿Arrezola?
No está, fíjate, está en su lugar, pero no sé por qué no se conectó. Ahorita voy a preguntarle por qué no está conectado.
¿Está en planta? Dice Tania que está en planta, pero que anda trabajando.
Oigan, la verdad, ¿ustedes creen que el Quitan de veras sí haya escuchado hoy? ¿O nomás nos está dando tole con el dedo que en 15 días va a tener esto?
No.
¿Sí va?
Pues,
No.
él siempre se muestra muy abierto a escuchar y siempre dice que nosotros somos sus clientes. Que entonces cualquier cosa que necesitemos se la pidamos, ¿verdad? Entonces hay que hacer eso.
Pues sí, hay que pedir, hay que seguir pidiendo, esa es la cosa, pues.
Así es, hay que seguir pidiendo.
La cuestión aquí es que siempre hemos comentado con sus líderes a la hora de los entrenamientos.
No te vimos, Héctor, Barrios.
Perdón, decía yo que hemos estado compartiendo estos preocupaciones con sus líderes, la gente que está juntándonos a los entrenamientos, agendando todo esto, pero pues o no le llega o tiene tantas que ya no las puede atender, ¿no? Entonces,
No sé, fíjate que se me hace que es como se beneficiaría de un curso de principios básicos de administración de proyectos, ¿no?
Que te voy a decir, yo comparo la implementación de este proyecto de SAP en comparación con cuando se hizo Mapix, nada que ver, ¿eh? Nada que ver, o sea, hoy es del cielo a la tierra.
¿Mejor o peor, Amalia?
No, mucho mejor, ¿no? Nada
No, mejor.
Muchísimo mejor, porque
Digo,
en el
creo que-
pasado,
ajá.
en
A
esta
nosotros-
ocasión ahora sí escogieron gente especialista en cada una de las áreas. Y la vez anterior, por ejemplo, quienes hicieron el catálogo de cuentas eran gente de cadena de suministro, pero ahora lo hizo gente de finanzas. Entonces, la verdad a mí en comparación con el proyecto anterior, nada que ver, es muchísimo mejor. Sí es muy exhaustivo la capacitación y el entrenamiento. Y a nosotros, por ejemplo, Héctor y a mí, no me dejará mentir Héctor, nos da muchísima información y hace esto, hace lo otro, pero la verdad creo que es muchísimo mejor.
Le voy a pasar tu retroalimentación a Saúl Rodríguez.
No, no le digas.
Sabes que lo estoy viendo casi todos los sábados. Nos vamos a hacer.
No le vayas a decir, ¿no? Si
estoy grabando esta conversación, ¿eh?
Y al
Yo
pato,
estoy externando eso porque ya no está en AGC.
Estoy grabando esta conversación. Saúl Rodríguez se entera el sábado.
Pero ¿a poco no opinas igual, Héctor?
No, eso es definitivo. Digo, Mapix fue, yo creo que el primer
intento
de establecer un sistema, ¿no? En AGC, aunque ya lo tenían en Estados Unidos, ¿no? Fue meternos a ese sistema. Entonces, como primer intento fue lo que había con la gente que se tenía y con la idea del, ¿cómo se llamaba este muchacho de sistema? No me acuerdo ni cómo se llamaba. Pero bueno, fue un primer paso, ¿no? Hoy esto ya está más especializado, mucho más gente, yo creo que de la que había disponible en aquel entonces.
Recursos diferentes también.
Recursos, incluso Amalia, la participación de nosotros, o sea, de una forma u otra hemos estado involucrados en esto desde hace un par de años, ¿no? Cuando la primera vez que vinieron los hindúes aquí a hacer un levantamiento de información, o sea, hemos estado involucrados, pero desde el principio, ¿no?
No, pero además una cosa que es importante, SAP es muchísimo mejor que Mapix en inicio.
Sí, pues es el líder.
No por nada, no, digo, finalmente cuando implementamos Mapix en el 2003, 2004, ya Mapix era viejo. Nada más, digo, ya era obsoleto, ¿no? Entonces, digo, hoy en día no es que SAP siempre ha sido mejor, que no le habían tirado a eso, bueno, pues es otra cosa. Digo, y que va a ser una herramienta, sí, es la herramienta fundamental. Y la verdad, una parte que me preocupó, o no sé si la capté bien, cuando Ketan dijo que la cuestión de la conexión entre Smart y SAP todavía le va a tocar un poquito más adelante, me preocupa, porque pues es la parte esencial de nuestra operación y debe ser la primera que debía haber estado lista.
Pero es que eso es lo que no sé si él entiende eso.
No. Yo digo que es una habilidad de escuchar y aún y cuando escuchas, ¿qué haces con lo que escuchas, no?
A lo mejor sería prudente mandarle un correo, ¿no? Ya.
¿Perdón?
a lo mejor sería prudente mandarle un correo, ¿no? Ya leyéndolo y va a ser diferente a escuchar. Ya lo leí, ya puede ver, analizarlo mejor.
Mira, Quintana, voy a hacer un paréntesis para distraer a todos, mira.
Hoy cumple 18 años Justino Salvador Sachida en esta organización. Un aplauso.
Es la credencial que me dio Gaby, ya le dije a Gaby Flores. Héctor estaba presumiendo su yo-yo, que tiene 18 años también.
Sí. ¿Quién? Tu hermanito, JJ.
Su hijo.
Todavía tiene fotos de papel y el sello aquí de AP Tecnoglass cuando éramos AP
A
Tecnoglass.
ver, pon la foto otra vez, espérate.
Sin carrilla, sin carrilla.
Oye, tenías lo tuyito.
Hace como 20 kilos menos, ¿cómo no? Y hoy hace 18 años.
Fíjate.
Un día como hoy, hace 18 años, César de la Vega estaba firmándote el contrato, prometiéndote que te iba a dar el dinero de los vales de despensa y del fondo de ahorro.
Me chamaqueó el Héctor, que diga el Héctor, el César. Fíjate, aquí hay yoyos de hace 18 años de esto de los credenciales y las credenciales.
Pues yo entré un mes antes que tú.
Sí.
Bueno, no.
Yo tengo
No, yo te tengo interrumpido.
Edad 35.
Porque yo nada más llegué hasta el 2007. A principios de 2007.
Lo único... ¿Te llevaron el mariachi que les dije que te llevaran?
¿El qué?
El mariachi que les pedí que te llevaran.
Hoy no, mañana.
Desde los 15 años que tengo que no celebramos aquí, ya perdí.
No, es que es hasta que cumplas 20 años.
No, eran cada 5.
Yo voy a cumplir 20.
Ah, ¿sí?
El día 28 de agosto cumplo 20 años.
Amalia, ¿y qué vamos a hacer, Amalia?
Pues eso es lo que yo pregunto.
Pero ahora sí me vas a invitar o me van a cortar como cuando festejaron los veintitantos años de Guadalajara.
Ojalá y a ti sí te festejen, Amelia, y te reconozcan tu trayectoria, porque aquí...
Híjole.
Oye, cumplimos 5 años ya.
Sí.
¿Qué arrancamos?
Aquí no, aquí creo que no.
No es cierto.
Ni un Twinkie Wonder, ni nada de eso. Ya de perder una galletita.
Te está cocinándole.
No, que está cocinando. Hoy no cocinamos.
Esa es la escuela que dejas, Quintana, ¿eh? Esa es la escuela que dejas. Pero, qué bárbaro.
Susan.
Para mí todavía tenemos tiempo y vete, todavía falta.
Faltan 4 minutos. Así que sigamos.
No, que todavía tienen tiempo para festejar a reconocer a Mario.
Ah, ya. Yo pensé que el tiempo de la junta.
Mira, fíjate,
todavía, Héctor.
se está grabando para el récord, Tania, haz algo en Guadalajara para los que cumplan 20 años.
O sea, sí va a haber.
Bueno, que vale Mario, ¿verdad? Pero yo digo, sí, merece un reconocimiento.
Sí va a haber festa. Sí va a haber festa.
Te van a regalar tu placa de activo fijo, Amalia.
Sí, ¿verdad?
De activo fijo.
Oye,
ya depreciado, Héctor. Ya completamente depreciado.
El factor humano, ¿en cuánto tiempo se deprecia, Héctor?
Nunca. Eso no se deprecia. Es como la tierra. La tierra no se deprecia, con los años va aumentando de valor.
Bien, excelente.
También.
Sí, acuérdate, los edificios y los terrenos aumentan de valor.
Así es.
Lo mismo que la gente. Entonces.
Ganan plusvalía también nosotros.
Hey, Susan. Today is Justino's 18th anniversary in AGC.
Ahorita regreso.
18th anniversary. I thought you were going to say it says 18th birthday.
Look at him.
Baby.
This is my first ID that Yvette made for me when we were AP Tecnoglass. Maybe you remember?
Yeah.
18 years ago.
How old? 14?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. We were teenagers back then.
20, 22, 20 something.
I think Susan is your fan, man.
I am.
Yeah, 18 years, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
But you have more, no, Susan? You have what, 20?
20.
But Brenda, you have more than 20.
My oldest is going to be 30 on
No, in AGC. How many years in AGC?
22.
22, right?
22.
Yeah.
Amalia is going to be 20. next August.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
So Justino, I told them to bring mariachi for you, but they didn't listen.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple
Not today,
in the
Yvette.
plan.
I told them. Margaritas.
Okay, go to the toilet.
Está muy serio ese muchacho, ¿no?
Sí, sí está. O quién sabe, capaz si se está riendo, pero no sabemos.
No, yo creo que no. Sí, yo creo que hay que invitarlo a la conversación porque sí, se nos está mirando con unos ojos medio raros, entrecerrados,
Como que se está durmiendo.
como queriendo pelear.
Híjole, qué barbaridad. Está
Y la
gente-
raza no se educa, no se educa.
No, 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 no. No, definitivamente no. Tania, ¿cómo estás, Tania?
Bien, Ivette, aquí estoy aprendiendo, mira, aquí estoy aprendiendo.
No, no, no.
¿Qué estás aprendiendo? Esa es la pregunta. Cosas buenas y
Aquí
cosas
estoy
malas.
aprendiendo de Héctor, de lo que está diciendo.
Ahora
Eso me
resulta yo.
¿Sí?
Eso me preocupa de sobremanera, ¿eh?
No, estoy escuchando, Ivette, estoy escuchando. Pero sí, la celebración.
Está pendiente, ¿no? Porque a mí me sigue recordando la de los 15 años.
No, sí va a haber.
Ya han pasado 3 años de eso y no se le olvida, ¿eh?
All right, let's start up again. So we've had our pause. I just want to go over where we are with the agenda. We've done 1, 2, and 3, and I think we only have time really to do 4. So we will need to add on a session and we'll tackle step 1 and 2 next time. All right, which is fine. Part of this is being flexible to adapt, and this is also part of change of sometimes what needs to happen in this process. So with this, after this pause here, in taking a look at where we are, we'll need to move the change management process then forward, and we'll just call it 2A and 2B for this session. And just as a reminder in terms of where we are with the change management process, it has the 6 major steps of identifying scope, then being able to do a diagnostic and analysis, and then being able to have ideation. What are some options for solving a problem? And then selecting a solution before implementing, and then monitoring the progress and performance for what needs to happen. With this, then, does follow and is based upon the plan, do, check, and act, the PDCA process of the part of the AGC way. So this session will move forward with our objectives to next time as well. But here's where we are with the report out on homework assignments. So the task was to be able to introduce yourselves as change agents. And so what we're going to do is I've asked Yvette and Suzanne to help me with this. You're going to be separated into 2 breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, I want you each to take an opportunity to introduce yourself as a change champion based upon what was shared last time and where you are in your location. Suzanne and others will give you some quick feedback, and then you're to repeat your introduction. Okay? So there's 3 steps. You're going to introduce yourself twice. 1, you're going to introduce yourself as change champions. Then Yvette and Suzanne will act as coaches along with the other peers to provide a little bit of feedback, and then you will repeat your introduction once again. Okay, and then so each person really only has 2 minutes each. So it's very, very quick. Are there any questions about the process? Okay, at this time it's going to be mixed.
I'm sorry, 2 minutes to do both presentations or 2 minutes each?
2 minutes per person. So the introduction was very short. It may take about 30 to 45 seconds. So take about another 30 seconds or so to give very quick feedback, not a lot. Just cheer people on with positive encouragement and maybe one thing that they could improve. Okay, there's always so many things we can improve, but it's easier just to remember one key thing. All right, and then have people reintroduce themselves based upon the feedback that you've given them. And this time it's going to be a mixed group. So this way we also have both, so the people from Mexico will be split into 2 groups. And Tanya, I know that you don't have people reporting to you, so at this point in time, you can just listen in and you'll be part of Suzanne's group, okay? So you just know you're not put on notice at this point. All right? Very good. Okay, we will send you off into your breakout rooms then, and we'll see you back in about 12 to 15 minutes. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to eat for a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead, go ahead.
So they have about 6 people per group, right?
No, 5 and 5.
Okay, 12 minutes then.
Yeah. Guess there's not a lot of editing for this session. The whole kitten conversation probably.
Wait. I'm gonna stop the. Fabulous. So the other team has about 1 minute left, and then they'll be rejoining us.
We voted Brenda Holland as best introduction ever.
So this is how we learn across from one another.
So good.
Thank you.
And she said she wrote it herself. Ryan didn't help at all.
Perfect.
It was a team effort.
So Diana, what I'll do is come up with a plan to push back session 4.
Yeah.
And then replace session 3 with the back end of session 2.
Yeah. And what happened, given that Keaton's coming back with the plan, he says that week of 6 to 10. So
okay.
It would be phenomenal if he has it for this group by then.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing we're going to do is in the week of the 8th and the 15th, I was going to invite in 2 core team members on the 8th and 3 in on the 15th to show themselves and talk about what they do in their own functional area.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. So that will fill in the time. And if we need, actually, we could do session 2 with Keaton's presentation and maybe get in all the core team members.
Okay.
If you think, and then the rest of session 2. We'll have to look at the timing of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I really like that Keaton's going to come back to this team with a little bit more information that they're asking for, because I think it is so key for this group as change champions to be able to communicate that back to the people that are involved in the whole project.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I guess really gives us a little bit of credibility, right?
Yes.
I think I was kicked out of my session. I don't know what happened.
It wasn't intentional, really.
It wasn't.
So
we all were.
Okay.
the introductions go in your group. Yvette, maybe share a little some highlights.
Come again?
Share a few highlights of how did your breakout go in terms of what were your observations about the introductions.
Oh, I think we Miss Kenny. That was the only one that was
Okay.
missing. But I think everybody else did a great job. Different methods. For example, in the case of Ryan, he had a presentation, and to introduce himself. So it was like very, very well structured. But so we talk about how to. That is one way to do it. But how do you do it? It's just in a regular conversation, right? So in 30 seconds, very quickly, just to tell people what you were trying to do. Now, in the case of, for example, Gabriel or Gabi, he took longer, right? Because he went into not only, the change champion, but also some of the technical information of the project. So we talk about that also, how to manage it in a different way.
Good. Suzanne, maybe share your overview of your group.
So the same. People took it in different directions. Brenda used the role of a change champion, and she identified exactly what their role was going to be from the beginning of the cycle to the end of the cycle, and I thought it was very good. Amalia and Hector, they went in a little bit of a different direction, but also just sort of compressed it more, and they were all very tight. And I think, and then Tanya also had one as an HR professional, what her role is in change. And they were all home runs. Every one of them was a home run.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good to hear that things are good in being able to manage how you are sharing your identity with others. I am going to move us forward in terms of how to prepare for our next session. And in the work that we have ahead, we are going to alter, you've just reported out on your homework from last week, so I'm going to give you now your homework for next time. We're not meeting for a couple more weeks until July 8th is our next session. So I'd like you to, and you'll get the slide deck as well, and the recording, so you don't need to take notes at this point. But in terms of how to prepare for your session for next time, I would like you to meet with team members across your location, wherever you are, the people that you will be working with, the people on the shop floor, your peers, and I want you to introduce yourself to them as their site change champion. And part of that introduction is to build a positive rapport with the team members. So before you start, I would like you to make a list of those people and then start to manage these relationships in a very systemic way. Meaning, when you introduce yourself, check that you've introduced yourself. And then that way you know that you've covered introductions, and if they have questions, you can bring those back for further dialogue, or you could send them to Suzanne and Yvette. And then also, following your introduction as a change champion, I do need you to ask and report out on things that of what you might have learned about what is going on with some of the individuals. So what was learned of things going on, and what are some potential challenges that they may have? And so it's both about things that are going well, and this is how we will share information within this group as well, to identify things that have been learned. But also, if you have a particular need or a particular challenge, it will allow us to get more of the specific local issues so that we can help and support one another. So being able to identify who the people are, that they know that you're their change champion, and ask about what do they know about the SAP change and how it could affect their work processes. This might become a little bit sensitive because when people's job change, It means that they may have to do something they don't know how to do, so it can create a lot of anxiety. So this is where you'll have to just go gentle and go slow. You don't have to dive very deep, but use both your eyes and ears. So we'll talk about that in our next session when we talk about step one, being able to identify scope of issues. So being able to, so the three key things: who are the people that you are connecting with? What do they know in terms of how it will affect their job? And the third part is, how are they feeling about the change process? Because how people feel will impact how quickly they will adapt to the changes, or are there some resistance and some issues that we need to provide additional support for? So when you come back next time, you'll share with the group the number of people you spoke with, and also a listing of problems that could become obstacles for implementing the SAP. So this time, your homework was to have introduced yourself, and so creating your introduction. Now you're ready to go out and introduce yourself to others outside of this group as change champion, and then to now select some and identify any particular things that's going well and challenges. So with that, I'm interested in hearing from you what questions you have about this process of what you need to do. Okay, so I feel that I've been very clear. Okay. For the people that who weren't here, make sure if you could sort of share with them. I guess Suzanne, you'll connect with Kenny and Mike, and then I think there's Gabby that. Or, oh no, he's here. I think
Jose is not here.
Jose, yes. And so with that, we can do a checkout, and the checkout question is, what is it that you're going to share with us? At least two people that you'll speak with, and then also, what is something that you're going to remember to do when you're introducing yourself, if you don't have a slide deck? Okay, what is something important to do when you're introducing yourself? So I'm going to call on each of you for the checkout. Okay, so Justino first, then Gabby.
Yeah, one thing that it was recommended by the team the time that I introduced as a change champion was to be an active listener, or let them know that I will be an active listener to receive all the feelings, feelings, and then address them those accordingly in this process.
Okay, excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby and then Ryan. Oh, you're muted, Gabby. You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Very good.
Yvette, could you help me? I don't listen here. Claire.
Okay, Yvette, maybe help.
Sí, Gaby, ¿qué vas a hacer diferente cuando te presentes con la gente como el Site Champion? Parte de la tarea que nos está dejando Diana es ir al piso y presentarnos, ¿no? Entonces, después de este ejercicio que hicimos ahorita, ¿qué aprendiste y cómo lo vas a hacer?
Ok.
Pero algo así muy breve, ¿no? Así como que, por ejemplo, lo que hiciste combinando la parte teórica con la práctica, ¿no?
Yes, that is correct. I learned today, I understand, I need to be clear with the people, specifically for what is the objective. I need to tell now the people specifically what is the objective, and with this will be clear for the people understand my point.
Mano. Okay. Ryan and then Amalia.
Yeah, actually, I think already both Brendan and I have been pretty active actually with talking with the people. So I just think it's just a continual, making sure they feel approachable to us, right? And we'll make sure that it's broadcasted that we're change champion, not just that we're somebody concerned, right? Like, right now it's just been that we're part of the management team and that we're concerned, to make sure this is progressing. But I think we need to make sure it's understood. Like we'll do this communication that we are the change champions and that we are there to support them. We will help communicate any concerns and maybe make any changes or improvements that's required. So we'll make it a little more formal, but obviously we've already been pretty active actually, and sure that they can come forward to us at any given time.
Great. Thank you. Amalia, and then Tanya, if you want to go.
Maybe I want open to listen that everyone need to say every concerns, anything that they have need to say. I am open to help to them.
Okay. Thank you. Tanya, then Hector.
In my case, I was focusing in the change management, but from the perspective of the HR, taking as a training. So
Yeah.
I can be, today I learned, I can be more, take everything in a general vision in order to start, not only training as HR support. So it will help me to listen different ideas from the people that we can say we are the change management people.
Okay. Thank you. Hector and then Brenda.
Thank you. So I think that I have to communicate very clear how important is this project, and also encourage to the people to be more proactive or active, as Justino said, sharing with us the doubts and concerns about this implementation.
Okay. Thank you. Brenda and then Yvette.
Yeah, I guess further to see what Ryan already said is that he and I have already been very active with our team here, and constantly checking in and listening to how it's going for them. I know that some of them are having some scheduling issues with the training and attacking the modules and such. So if they're looking for a little bit of help in some of the scheduling issues, being supportive and helping them get that done. I mean, we just spoke with one of the members just on our break a few minutes ago and helping him because he's a little bit behind on his modules, finding a solution such as, somebody else that can step in and perhaps do his job function so that he can, get back on track with his training. So that's what we just continue to do, is speaking with everyone and making sure that they understand we're here to support them.
Okay, thank you. Just an alert, Kenny's rejoined us. An alert for Ken is that we're in a checkout process. And it's one thing to remember that you will continue doing as you leave this week in introducing yourself to others as a change champion. But I'm going to have Yvette check out first before I come back to you. Okay? Give you a moment to catch your breath.
Well, I personally will not be necessarily doing that, but if I would, it would be, something that I would take with me today is to listen people openly, right, without judgment.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people hesitate to communicate how they are feeling because they are afraid that maybe you are going to think that their concerns are not important. Yeah. Or that, this person is not even understanding what is happening. So not judgment and, active listening and being open to the comments of everybody.
Thank you. And Kenny, what is one thing that as you introduce yourself to others as a change champion, what is something that you will be mindful about doing in the process when you introduce yourself?
I think just trying to create rapport or create a comfort level. So I actually have some SAP experience in a previous life. So a company I worked at before, I used SAP for about 5.5 years. So I didn't attend last week, but I thought as part of my introduction, introduce myself, let them know I've been nominated as a change champion for the Farmington Hills office, and that I have experience in my past with SAP. So not knowing that ours, it won't be exactly the same, apples to apples, but being able to tell someone that I've used SAP as an operator in the past, I can see that increasing a comfort level and feeling that they can come with questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes. Suzanne, what is the takeaway that you have from today in supporting this whole group?
So I'd like to share what I will continue to do, and hopefully you'll see it as a best practice and you'll do it as well. Something I've learned is as we're going through these conversations with people and they surface problems or challenges, I tend to want to make it my problem or challenge. So and people will let you. So what you have to do is ask a lot of questions. So what have you done about that? Where do you think you can get information? I think I seen something that was sent out about that. Maybe go back through your emails where you're encouraging them to go back and find their own solution before it comes to you and you own all these problems. So you don't want to own them. We want to allow people to advocate for themselves and try to figure out the solution and not do it for them.
And I think that's a very important boundary to manage as change champion. You're not there so much to solve problems for people, but you're helping to equip people, identifying the problems, and then we'll talk about that, but supporting them in becoming self-sufficient in the learning process so that many people can be engaged in the problem-solving process. So Sun Chao, any last word from you?
I think it's a living example that today's meeting is constantly about change. That's why we embrace change. It's part of our name. Our name is Sensei Change. So that's what we're here for, to support you. Even we're not the expert of the subject matter, but we are the expert and have lots of experience in facilitating the change and prepare you for it. So we are excited to keep on supporting this journey.
Okay, thank you. All right, so next time we'll start with step 1 and step 2. And Suzanne, maybe just share who will be with us next time. Maybe I could provide a little bit of overview for that so it can prepare people in case they see something and may have questions, then they can share it with the team.
So the plan will be that we're going to adjust our schedule and we're going to push back session 4 by a week. I'll check in with you guys to see if the date works, or maybe I'll just put it out there. And if it absolutely doesn't work, then we'll make an adjustment. But we're going to need to slide in an extra session to finish up session 2. And we only probably need half of the session. So what we'll do with the rest of the time is we're going to have Keaton come back and show us the project plan. And we're also going to invite the core team members, Chad Mullins, Jason Geyer. Those guys will come in and share with us what their role is inside the SAP and what kind of space they hold so that you can go to them as problems arise. We don't always have to go to Keaton. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't be going to Keaton as a project manager. We should start with the core team before we escalate anything to Keaton. And then finally, if you look in the folder that I've created on that OneDrive, I've tried to start organizing the information in folders. And you'll see that Kenny, Mike, and I met this week. And at our site, what we're going to do is sort of divide and conquer. Kenny's going to be responsible for purchasing and sales, right? I'm going to take on the engineering group. So we'll split the functional areas up. And we've already started to make a list of who the SMEs are, who the users are, and what our series of questions are. So you are welcome to look at our file, which is in that folder. You can use it or not use it. You can come up with your own as a method of keeping track of who you've made contact with.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right. So I'm very excited about, it feels that we are going to add a little bit more time in this training, but I think this is a very helpful, strong foundation in moving forward. And I do want to say a special thank you to my co-facilitators with Yvette and Suzanne, who are able to just parachute in and do amazing work with all of you. So thank you to the both of you. We are finishing a few minutes ahead of time, so you get to have that gift back on your schedule, and I look forward to seeing you next time. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Diana.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. Gracias. Bye.
Okay. Adios.
Adiós.
Hasta luego. Ay,
Yeah, Hector, you just need to exit yourself out. I'll just stand with Suzanne for a wrap up. Okay, just the three of us. You're muted.
Should I have Yvette jump back on?
Sure.